Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have back with us Paul Fokken with 401k Maneuver. Paul, welcome back to the program.
Hey, it's a pleasure, Mike. Great morning.
And I really like talking about this because this is such a unique topic that a lot of people just check off in their mind like, oh, I can't do anything about it. But we're discovering here with managing a 401k that individuals and businesses have choices. And so today we're going to go a little bit deeper on the benefits of what your program does for business owners. So bring us up to speed on what the 401k Maneuver is, and then we'll dive into how it can benefit business owners.
Oh, happy to, Mike. First, just like to talk about more of an overview with managed accounts, and you're kind of hearing that a little bit, maybe if you're a businessman or you're talking to a financial advisor with a 401k plan. But managed accounts are basically where companies are offering some type of service for employees to get, help and advice with their 401k regarding things like investment selection, how much to put in, how often to make changes, things like that, because defined corporate pension plans are not as common as they used to be. And, more than ever now, employees are responsible for maximizing their own salary deferral, the investment performance, where they have to, try to create that most retirement income possible. And so what we kind of came up with this idea with personalized professional account management, where again, the focus is on the individual employee, not necessarily the business, not lumping them all into, one group or category just based on retirement age. So with 401k Maneuver, basically we have a goal to help employees. And those goals are, number one, and what most people probably would love is increase that account performance over time. And also manage downside risks to minimize some of those losses that you might be seeing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But also decreasing fees that may harm that account performance. So we're taking a look at those. Like sometimes you might be in a active investment and it's like, oh, maybe that fee's a little too high for what that performance is getting. And then finally, we kind of look at those avoiding default funds, because they may not be, those target date funds may not be the right choice for somebody. So,
and whenever I hear the word fees, I think of, expense and cost and draining, momentum out of, it's kind of like you want to have that compound interest, but it's interrupted if there's a bunch of fees. So what is it about your program that can help mitigate or lessen as much as possible fees within the 401k plan?
Correct. And that's, what we're kind of looking at is looking at those fees versus what the performance is of that fund or mutual fund. So if all of a sudden they're kind of taking a look and it's like, whoa, this fee is this much percent, but we're only getting this much return, maybe there's a better one within that, that employer's investment menu selection plan that might make a difference. And even sometimes we've looked at that and it actually covers the fee of enrolling in 401k Maneuver. Again, can't guarantee that, but in some plans, some of those fees are high enough where it's like, hey, if you get this help, this independent help, you're still basically break even.
Yeah, it's almost like you're finding the margin to pay for the small cost of your program by shifting around and showing them, hey, before we make any moves here, here's what I found. This, category is costing this much in fees, but if we can shift it over to here and maybe these returns are projected to do a little bit better, we're going to save this much in fees, so you don't even feel the cost of our advice. And then from then on, he starts just gaining momentum that way.
Yeah, and we certainly take a look. Like, for instance, if let's say a fee was 1%, but you're getting 20%, but then there's another fee of, let's say, 0.5%, but you're only getting 5%, right? You'd still probably take the 1% fee to get 20% all day long.
Yeah, you hear that in business and marketing. It's like, well, if you could invest $1 and earn $10 back, how many $1 would you invest? And it's like as many as I can get my hands on. So yeah, I mean, when you can look at it that way, it really makes so much sense. And so I would, just from, I have not been in corporate America for 10 plus years, but I know when I was and had a 401k, you just get this big stack of papers and you just see things and your eyes glaze over, and you certainly don't dive in deep enough to see what fee this fund has and what choices there are. So it's almost like you don't even know until you get into it. And then someone like yourself can come alongside someone and say, okay, let's kind of peel this onion apart and see what we're really getting at.
Yep, exactly.
So you mentioned something interesting, and I think this ties right into what you do for businesses. But pension plans used to be, pretty commonplace, and now they're becoming less and less prominent. So they're pretty rare. So maybe possibly this managed 401k kind of a plan could be an extra layer of benefit that employers or business owners can bring to their employees.
Exactly. And that's why we think we should, the businesses and certainly the decision makers with the 401k plan should consider offering 401k maneuver, that personal, professional account management to every employee. So, when I think about that, because it could help certainly provide the business owner some added protection from lawsuits. And I just recently signed up for this alert that you can get on Google, and put it on as 401k alerts. And, basically every week I'm getting alerts on 401k lawsuits. And I think in the past it wasn't as much, just because, again, the markets weren't as volatile. And when businesses had the pension plans, the employees really didn't even know what was going on behind the scenes, because they were just, putting money in for them and investing it for them. Where now all of a sudden you're responsible for this 401k, and you get a statement every quarter, and you're supposed to get disclosures annually that's saying what the menu is, what the investments are, how those performances are. And I think people are looking at that and looking at fees and saying, whoa, maybe, we didn't have the proper number of investments, and maybe those fees were a little too high, and there's nobody to help me. And I think, again, you look at this past quarter and you look at the way this year's trending. Now, there's different prognosticators out there, and there have been times when the market's been down over double digits that first quarter where it rebounds, but nobody really knows. But I think right now there are employees out there that are just like, where can I turn? And this is where, again, the business owner can step in and like, hey, here's this program, this service that's an additional benefit that you can sign up for, and you can actually get help, so you don't have to bother other corporate HR people. You don't have to take time out of your day to meet with an advisor. It's kind of like once you get set up, then we, take the rest and just manage the account for you.
And I know that there's a choice where an employer could just make this available and then the employee pays for it, like we were saying, like maybe possibly you can find the savings for your small fee in what the advice you give. But there also is the opportunity where the business can say, okay, we've tested this enough and seen the feedback and response and results. We want to go ahead and sponsor, subsidize, pay for, however that looks. And I think that when an employer can look at this and say, many times there's benefits that we can bring extra on board and announce it as a benefit, and even say, look, this is a cost to our company, but we feel it's important to you. And that's a choice that the business can make. But I think that it's all in how you position it and announce it and explain it to the employees. And I think that alone could get some huge goodwill. You think about, what would make an employee leave a company, or what would make an employee stay with a company? Things like this, build that goodwill.
Exactly. It's kind of like similar to health insurance options these days. Yeah. Again, I think you only kind of in the past kind of had maybe one or two out. Now there's so many options and maybe some additional benefits that you want. So why not just, take a look? It's like, hey, we can offer this to every employee. If they're out there saying, how do we get help? Here's one way you can get help. And, if the employee's, account size is growing, as research suggests, when you're getting help, you can see that added benefit of maybe 3% more annually net of the fee for enrolling in a 401k maneuver service. So why not have your employees just give it a try? Yep. And in addition, if the employer offers 401k to all its employees, the fee can be taken out right out of the employee account quarterly. So you don't need, on the previous podcast where it's just an individual signs up, you got to have that credit debit card charge. And again, if you offer it to all your employees, then you're looking like the good guy again, sort of, hey, we're offering all this and you can just take the fee right out of your account. That's simple. You don't have to worry about that extra step.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned something too about that Google alert you set up, and it's one thing to say, oh, well, you could get sued, and then now you don't have anything to back it up. But here you're getting all the time, daily, weekly news alerts from companies that are getting lawsuits coming against them for 401k type occurrences. Talk a little bit about what that would be. Is it the kind of thing where a business owner goes, oh, well, that's so remote and obscure that it would never happen to us? But what are some of these lawsuits that come up?
Yeah, you're just seeing them. I would say the ones that I see come across are more on the fees, excessive fees. Yeah. And then the other ones are more like improper, not enough selections, or maybe too many selections, not the right selections. And there's some benchmarks that are coming, and you'll see, I think in the future there's going to be a little bit more where ERISA, who sets the guidelines for the plans, are going to scrutinize a little more to say, well, if you're just having average funds, like a C or whatever, that's maybe not good enough, So you're trying maybe to see what could be more efficient and try to get the employees in those funds that are more efficient. When you're looking at both, you're looking at what the fee is for the fund versus what the return is. And I think more people and even litigators are looking at that now.
Well, putting myself into the shoes of the business owner, and you think of all the decisions they need to make about every aspect of their business, and then here comes someone saying, oh, here's the 401k plan, set it up, your employees can contribute, and they're like, yeah, I know, I need that, check done. How in the world are they supposed to know, well, is this enough choices? It seems like it's enough choices to me, but then here comes this lawsuit. And the reason for that is they're setting themselves up to the employees as, I'm taking care of you and this is the best thing for you, when in reality, here comes an employee who goes, it's not enough. And the business owner now feels exposed and like, how are they supposed to know, right?
Right. And many of them, if they, are signing on that 5,500 that they're the plan administrator in that, they're personally liable too.
Oh.
So
that's another.
So again, I think this is just kind of another level of protection. It's like, hey, if my employees are getting the advice and somebody's helping them out and their account is growing, that's going to help morale. That's going to help retention. They want to stay there because that's their retirement.
Yes. And if that shifts a little bit of the onus over from the employer for this over, if you guys are going to take this education and all of the, the helpful things that would help lessen the chance of a lawsuit, that's a huge benefit to a business owner as well.
Yeah. So, and the other nice thing about 401k Maneuver is it's not a Robo Advisor. Sometimes you hear those where you just go online, hey, you can sign up, you can get this extra advice. But basically, again, they're just lumping you in based on your retirement date and some assumptions. Yeah, where, here I'm an independent licensed fiduciary that's required. I have to put individual employees' interests first. And first, by that, I mean ahead of any brokerage firm, any investment provider, or any company provided investment representative. We have to be there for that employee. And I think the business owner, when they understand that, is like, yeah, I want all my employees to have that opportunity to have the, best retirement nest egg on their 401k and again, I should specify if it could be 401k, 403b, 457, or even a government thrift savings plan. There are ways they can sign up businesses for that. So.
Yeah, that's huge. And like you mentioned about the Robo Advisor, it's like, wow, I now have a login, username, and password, and I can watch some videos. But still, what does that do for me? Or I can download this PDF, or I can go to the frequently asked questions. That still doesn't help me out. But when someone can reach out and talk to you, an expert, and then the advice you're giving is no benefit to you. If you give someone the advice of choosing this allocation over that allocation, doesn't benefit you at all. You're just looking out for their best interest.
Exactly. And that's kind of what happens when, with the pre-enrollment, the employees will be provided that education, and we kind of set up a website where it's basically the company's logo page and just said, hey, your company chose to offer this 401k maneuver to all their employees, and you're going to get some more information about it. So nice. What is nice is, again, we have that capability. It doesn't matter if it's one location with 5 employees or 100 locations with thousands of employees. We can handle it. And the other thing is with the plan, there's no need to change anything about the current plan. The record keeper, the plan reps, the investment menus, everything remains the same. We just go in and make changes to the account where we see necessary every 90 days.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, and then the nice thing, once you get enrolled, then we can provide even further education, because right now we have this 401k maneuver blog that's kind of trending as one of the leading 401k blogs out there too. And it talks, about a bunch of different topics, not even just 401k, just retirement, life-making type decisions and that. So we're pretty excited about that too.
Yes, for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about if this sounds good to an employer and all the benefits and protection that it brings to them. What's it going to cost? And then what's the best way that someone could reach out and connect with you, Paul, and learn more about this package for their business?
Sure. For employees, the nice thing about 401k maneuver is there really isn't any cost, financially to the company. There might be a little bit of time just trying to add them on the 5,500 and so forth, but, basically it's no cost. So you kind of think of it, that if the company wants to cover some of the costs, so they can. And so I always think about it when I was a park and recreation director for a recreation center, and there was an incentive where companies would offer employees a discount, for joining like a wellness fitness center.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. But I see it more, okay, this is more of a financial wellness, when you talk about those different dimensions of wellness that you could offer to every employee. And so, and go a little bit further as far as individual, employee costs, depending on the employee's account balance, you're looking at a cost of anywhere a quarterly fee from 0.15% to 0.2%. So, kind of gets up there around less than 1% annually. So again, if the research showing, hey, I can maybe get 3% or more every year, why not maybe take look at that option, especially for your employees and even maybe for the business owner himself or herself and, whoever the business owner is. And finally, I just leave you with this. So if you're one of the decision makers out there for the plan or the business owner, and you just want to try it out individually, is like, I'm not sure yet how this all works. We're willing to provide you with a no-cost trial for 90 days where we'll actually rebalance your account. And then you can kind of make the decision, hey, did that maybe make the difference or not? So
that's great. Yeah, try it before you buy it, and put the results in advance, and if it works out for 90 days, then obviously we might want to look at moving forward to bringing this to our employees. So that's a wonderful offer.
And one other, might be too, is maybe there's a couple employees that you might know that's been looking for advice and just say, hey, you try this out for 90 days. Of course, they might have to pay for it, but maybe the employers are, willing to pay for them for 90 days or something like that. But if you get enough people, all of a sudden they're interested, is like, hey, maybe we should offer this to all our employees. So, and that's kind of what we're seeing too, is when we sign a few people up individually, then they're telling their other coworkers and they're saying, hey, let's get this, let's everybody get a chance to increase their retirement. So
100%. Awesome, Paul. Well, what's the best way that someone can reach out and connect with you and learn more about the program?
Sure. For this one, again, if you're interested in that trial, just contact me. It's PM, as in Paul Michael, Fokken, at royalfundmanagement.com. or you can just give me a call at the office. It's 712-321-3272. And then the other nice thing, too, is you can set up a consultation with me, too, if you want to talk a little bit further about it. You can just go to my website and you can set up a consultation, www.fokkenfinancial.com.
Excellent. Well, Paul, I'll make sure that website is in the show notes, and thank you so much for coming on. This has been a real educational, enlightening conversation all around this topic of 401k. So thanks for coming on.
Yep, my pleasure, Mike. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.